again, everybody, to join us to our Unlock the Unknown webinar series. This is the first session that we host here in our offices. And today we're going to deep dive on how to understand your customer better. A little bit about me. My name is Ohad. I'm Tuto CEO. And at Tuto, we create tools for customer-facing teams that provide clarity and drive efficiency when it comes to communicating and understanding users. And I'm happy to say that in our waiting list, we have companies like Luminingo, Grosvenor, Kraft, Yellow AI, PayPal, Pingboard, LiveThick, and much, much more. Today, the agenda will be very easy, short, and I hope will provide a lot of value. We're here to learn, share a little bit about the experience, and of course, to learn from you. So we will start from short introduction. Efrat will talk a little bit about herself, introduce herself. Amazing and one of the most innovative and experienced customer success software, customer support people that I know. Then we're going to deep dive a little bit about the things that you learned in your journey, how to understand your customer better. And then we will add some Q&A question session. I assuming that I will have a lot of questions and maybe the audience also have some questions. So I really want you to be engaged, and you will more than welcome to send us some question, and I hope that we can manage to answer that during this webinar. And I want to start with say thank you being with us, Efrat, and now it's all yours.
Wow, that was a great introduction. So thank you, and really nice to be here in Tel Aviv office. So a little bit about myself, just a short introduction, I guess, from the last about 10 years or so. Currently, I'm working in HPE. I'm leading the delivery country manager, leading and managing the delivery unit, around 70-something people, separated between different areas, and I will explain about it in the next slide. In my last role, just before I came to HPE, I was managing in Microsoft, also delivery and the full support in Israel, the premier support, also leading the specialist, which is the pre-sale activity. So know the customers from both angles, also support, but also pre-sale, which a little bit correlates. And
yeah, it's very interesting that, and we had like a talk about the different relationship between like the revenue-oriented and not revenue-oriented customer-facing teams. So it will be very nice to hear about that also.
Yeah, and actually it's one of the biggest challenges of how to coordinate and how to facilitate your customer relationship. So we'll talk about it, and I guess we will have also questions. I was previously also in Teva and managing also activities of development, so a little bit of all worlds together.
Big companies,
enterprise,
yeah,
kind of an enterprise corporate manager, and I think that's a very interesting perspective. Usually working with big customers, enterprise, with the Israeli market, which is a very demanding, very challenging market. I think it also represents other markets, but we know what we demand. We know what we want.
Yeah.
And this is, I think, a unique market that can really teach us about how to give service and how to be a demanding customer, and how to create a situation in which you do your best in your relationship with this kind of demanding customers.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that we always talk about that enterprise companies, they need to provide like the best service for other enterprises because it's part of what you are selling, right? You're not selling only the product itself, but you provide the full package that also includes service 24/7 sometimes and stuff like that, right?
Exactly, and I think that's also what basically at the end of the day differentiates you. So people usually do business with people. That's how it works.
In the end, it's always person.
Exactly.
It's not matter if you're a B2B company, B2C
Exactly.
company. In the end, you talk with somebody.
I often get calls asking, so who is the focal point? So who is the one person, one ID that I will call, you know, at any hour of the day, at night? And I think that's what really differentiates us. A little bit going back. Yes.
And make it full. Another. We'll see the full.
So I'm here representing myself, but also HPE. I'm very, very proud to be leading the delivery in HPE. Another one, just backwards.
Slide 3.
Yeah. So just explaining a little bit, because HPE is a big company, it's a global company, and I think also creates a lot of opportunities and challenges to the people working in HPE, but also to our customers, obviously, which we are looking outside of the company. One slide back, if you can, just to tell a little bit or to talk about what kind of solutions my team is, no, another one, or maybe we have a delay here, slide number 3. In general, we are separated between service and projects, and we give service in many, many areas. Some of them are traditional HPE, which talks about compute and storage, and also IoT, which is a new area that HPE is going through, and GreenLake, which is the new strategy that we're looking at, which is a kind of single tenant cloud. I think our uniqueness is that we are taking the customers to their journey to the cloud and helping them decide whether or not to leave things on premise or take them to the cloud. We are taking their data centers, we are managing the data centers. So we're doing both traditional, we understand traditional. And I think this is kind of our uniqueness with the team in my unit, that they know enterprise, they can help our customers. They've been in this area for many years. And I think that's what makes our service, I think, one of the best in the market. So now we are in a good slide. And I think that's also really represents, and I'm sure you also face it in your area. What are the IT challenges that we see that really affects, the calls we are getting, the requests, the type of projects we are doing, the type of customers that are calling. And I think this is unique for the last few years, and COVID is here and was here and hopefully will not come back. But I think the first thing we see is everyone wants to be digitized. Everyone,
yeah,
right?
and every market also, like, a lot of new companies like emerged from COVID, and also we saw a lot of companies like dying because of COVID. And I think that now in this area of COVID, we needed like a new way of communicating, a new way of providing service with anybody basically at home, right?
I think one thing that I've seen, and also from Microsoft, but also working in various places, and also with my kids and at home, that in one day when COVID started, people from really wanting sometimes to go to the bank didn't want to see anyone, and they couldn't. So companies went from dark to the cloud to kind of cloud oriented in one day, and I think it really represents the customer service also kind of change that we're seeing. So people want not to talk to anyone if they can, but if they need to talk to anyone, they want it very instant, they want it now, they want everything like in a single one-stop shop. So this is kind of a big deal that happened.
It's very interesting what you said. Like, I think that, like, I talk with a lot of people, and even like here in Israel, you can see the bank strategy to talk about the person. So as a person, I want to talk with person, I want to be able to see him, talk to him. And a lot of other people say, I don't want this connection with other people.
Yeah.
I like this to be digitized. I don't want to be like in this weird conversation with other people. And it's very interesting what you said.
Yeah. And kind of, people, young kids, or they don't want to talk to anyone. So they want everything instant. I think your product also allows, a lot of faster kind of service and less talking, which is nice, right? Mm-hmm. We want that. Can you go back to the presentation?
You want me to take the presentation up?
So another thing we see is that everything about the training and about the skilling it became really harder. We are in a journey, so we adopt technologies much faster than before. But the people, they're not trained with everything, and they're still learning phase. And we have some also traditional and legacy systems that we have to support.
It's a big issue
it's
in
a
the
big
enterprise,
issue.
right?
It's a big issue in the enterprise. Well, you know, on one hand, you want to keep the people, so you want to enter new technologies, and everyone wants to be really connected. Slide number 4.
Let's go to slide number 4 and let's share the screen.
Right.
Let's do that, and let's do maybe do it differently. Let's go here, share the screen, and boom. Yeah.
Perfect. So we're talking about adoption of technologies. We're talking about complex environments. We're talking about integration. So in customer support, when someone calls with some kind of case, it starts at one angle, but ends in a totally different, because there are a lot of integration, a lot of complexity in environments of enterprises. We see a lot of calls regarding training. So we'll take statistics. Many of the calls are just about, you know, training people, and they're not trained enough.
Yeah, exactly. So how much from like the support aspect of things, when user come to support, is how-to question, like it doesn't know how to do something and ask if it can do it, how to do that, and how much from the support is really bugs or something that really need to be doing, that is not like teaching or tell them how.
So in my current position in HPE, I would say that we have such good connections with our customers, with enterprise, that for how to, they will call like not through the customer support. But in previous cases, it could be even like, I don't know, 60-40, toward 40% can be even training and how to. And also we see a lot of updates in the software and also hardware. So people can't, you know, live up to the kind of innovations that we see. So that's a big deal of companies that they're facing. We see security threats. So if in the past we didn't hear so much about cases related to security, we see them much more than before. This is something we need to also adopt.
They ask the support like
we have a threat, we have a security, we have an issue, we want an assessment, we don't know what to do, so people panic.
Wow,
and they really need assistance, they need help. Sometimes they don't know to really understand where is it coming from.
So today the end user are aware to security and privacy issues.
In my current position, we're not handling so much end users, but more ITs.
Okay.
So in the ITs, it's
yeah,
really common.
it's really,
yes.
Agree.
Obviously financial limitations. So we do more in business with less people than we did before. So we always need to be more efficient. And it creates, again, a lack of knowledge, and people are leaving and people are not replaced. So this is something also
and
we are
how
facing.
You talk about efficiency, right? And you mentioned before that you use a lot of like legacy softwares, and also I assuming SaaS that always come inside. So you have your legacy software, the SaaS software, and then you have less people. So how you manage like to work efficient inside all this mess?
So I can speak about, you know, about from the IT side. So you need to be very creative. People need some, you know, you can't work in silos anymore. People needs to know, and I see it in my team as well. So people used to be only storage based or only VMware, only system. Now they need to learn much more because they have to be cross. Many things are integrated. You know, you start here, you go there, and if you know only silos, you have less value. So just you know, a tip for the people. Go and study and be kind of you always need to understand more and be cross technologies, and try at least to understand the flow to bring more value.
I think that you touch in a good point, that I think that in if I see the modern like universities, right? And as you mentioned, like support, delivery, customer success, these things are not taught anywhere. And you really need to understand where to find like valuable information in order to grow in the space. And I think that there is a lot of innovation because there is no like one way to do things.
University is not necessarily preparing you to the real life.
Yeah.
So now we have a program in HPE, in my unit. We are looking for graduates also. So we want people without an experience, and we're trying to.
So you train them?
Yes, we train them. We give them tools. we on the job training. So this is much more. Sometimes, you know, in like 6 months of our training, they will get so much more.
And the training is like for anyone, or they will become an HPE employees in the end?
They will come an HPE employees. Yes, definitely. So this is something we're looking at, and I think it's something really valuable, because sometimes, you know, things we're looking also are sometimes unique, so you cannot, you know.
And the knowledge is internal knowledge that you are sharing with the people.
Exactly.
And if somebody want to learn more and be more efficient in his job, support or customer facing, where he can find this information?
So we have a lot of mentoring inside. We have lab, like a very unique lab in HPE. We have a global training programs, so they can connect and have like mentors outside of Israel, which is very nice to be part of a global company. Obviously now we can start flying again. So there is like a supporting system, an ecosystem to allow those people to really accelerate fast.
So if I need to like fight, what you can do is like find somebody that had experience in this field,
yes,
and trying to learn, and trying to teach with learn from him, because I think that in this page there is less like tutorials or information over the internet, not like development or product management that are hot topics, but as we progress, I assume that we'll talk about that. There is the success part of that is very revenue oriented and very hot, like trend for positioning in companies. Like, you need to give me the explanation what the difference between account manager, customer success, and customer support in the end, and how it's shifting. But I think that we will see more and more information over the internet, but right now there is not a lot.
And I think customer success, which I manage the group of customer success, is also, you know, sometimes what you're looking, what kind of expertise or what kind of training is, you have like a very variety of areas that it can come from.
Right.
So that's a very good question. We'll talk about it in a second, the difference between them.
I was waiting for that.
Yeah. We can go to the next slide.
Now we are controlling that. Yeah.
Okay, so I think like, you know, when speaking about customer service, but also speaking in general about, you know, technology and where we're going, I think we all understand that data is the new gold, right? That's someone that everyone is saying, and why it's the new gold, and why we're looking to see the data, and why it helps to so many areas, and also the customer service. So we're looking at many places where data can come from. Structure or not structure, traditional or not traditional. And if in the past, you know, when people had a problem, they were reactively calling or opening a case or whatever, people change. They want much more to us, the customers that are giving the support, to be proactive, not wait for their problem to happen, but also detect it and prevent it. And this is something you can do definitely by using the data, and data is there, you just need to collect it. So we collect data from several systems, but not only us, you need to connect the dots, and not only connect the dots, but if you collect the data from blogs and from Facebook, what they're saying about your brand, I'm taking it out, you know, from different spaces. You can also do, of course, the upsell, the next upsell. So if you connect, for example, a case, and you say, okay, we have an issue with whatever, with the server, with the software, with something that happened more than once, maybe it's a good opportunity for me to pass the information, connecting the dots to the salesperson and saying, look, he has a lot of issues there. Let's offer him something that will give him a better service.
And it's really happening. Like, you know, as you mentioned, there is a lot of data points that company can collect. And in the end, you need to understand what you do with the data.
Exactly.
Which question you ask.
Exactly.
And what you do with that. Like what the workflow inside the company, that like if you find any anomaly or trigger that happened, what you do inside the company in order to fix that or like create business opportunity.
So now companies are looking to even use the sentiment, you know, via NLP technology to understand when customer is calling, how angry he is or how happy, and how he's feeling about the brand just by his tone of the voice or the face or whatever. So companies are starting to use more and more, and I'm guessing that that's obviously where it goes. But not only that, I think internal inside the companies, as much as companies, and they are doing it, connecting the dots within customer service, but also sales, but also product, that will be, much more than just doing it by the structure that maybe we'll talk about it in a second.
Yeah, it's taken me like one step backwards. Like we said, like understanding the dots from one side, but from the other side, we said that we need these people that know how to look on broad things,
exactly.
Right? So I think that it took time to get there, like to understand the product and understand. You need to be in all these places in order to understand how to connect the dots.
Exactly.
And I don't think that there is a lot of people in this position that can like really sing this stuff that you're talking about here.
Yeah. So this is it's not only me. I really expect, and I think the differentiate between like a very good customer support or customer success is exactly the one that knows how to connect the dots to create more value to the customer. At the end of the day, that's what's important. I think when we look at that, really by creating value to the customer, then we are breaking the walls, because sometimes the customer support person will feel uncomfortable bringing an upsell because
Right.
he's like a support, he's a delivery, he doesn't want to cross the line because sales is a really dirty area of not doing it.
This is what people think, but in reality,
in reality,
right?
You want to help the customer. You don't need to push something that is not relevant. But if you see something that's happening more than once and you connect the dots, then it's perfect. It's like a win-win to everyone.
Yeah.
And that's something that it's a change of mindset. So this is something that takes time and the right skilling.
I agree. This is the shift, the shift between like I need to sell for I want to do what's called value creation.
Value creation, exactly.
Value creation, and find how I can provide value to my customer, and even more than that, maybe even the broad area of people that touch my company. I want to give them something and not necessarily sell them. Exactly. If I can provide you value, I assuming that you will want me.
Yeah, and look, I think it's kind of it's on the table. As soon as you are coming from a vendor,
right?
Everyone knows that at the end of the day you need to survive. So surviving means making money. So it's okay, and I feel very, very comfortable talking about business because this is what makes everyone alive, which is fine. But I think the real differentiation is looking at what the customer needs, and this is how you ask questions. And customer support, a good customer support, I think the one thing that differentiate is really asking the right questions and also aligning expectations. We'll talk about it at the end, which is not less important. But I think looking at the data is like a big deal. And if you'll go maybe another slide, HPE, for example, has a really cool application or software that is installed, and it's actually free to the customers that have a software, and it's called InfoSight. And this is a really cool proactive AI application that is installed to differentiate and to bring a predictive and analytical, from your, if you go another slide. So it basically analyzed and looking at the customer infrastructure. So this is a lower layer. So it's the compute, the virtualization, network, everything together. So it takes and it maps, runs statistics over your environment. Basically, it takes into account millions of sensors, statistics from globally from every customer that is connected. So it brings back also statistics from there, and then gives back to the customer preventive actions and do how and things that do, and everything is automatically. This is really cool, and I think this is really in line with what customers expect. They expect us coming to them before the issues are happening. And if if we don't, let's say, sometimes we can't, then in a way of handling a case, they expect everything really to be immediate. They expect all the experts to be, available, in line. If something happens, to come into the customer site, although things are happening more and more on the phone, but we have also hardware. So sometimes we need to come to site. And I think as much as we'll be more proactive and as much customers like invest in being proactive, they save so much money afterwards. So one case that makes your system down, the branding, the business that is coming to you with questions. So sometimes when speaking about saving, this is not the place to save. So you need to be as much as proactive. You need to take the risk like it's insurance, so if something happens, 2 minutes of your business down can really create a disaster in your financial aspect. So this is kind of a trade-off that we're doing, and we're really trying to do this kind of analysis with our customers.
And also, as the support aspect, you're trying to be like as proactive as you can.
Yes. So we have types of contract that are really proactive. So they have like a focal point. It's in touch with the customer in a high touch, once a week, twice a week. So he really knows the customer. He's part of his team. He knows the environment. He knows everything. And this will prevent a lot of issues, going forward.
Because he needs to spot like if something is not going as we expected.
Exactly. So here you have a spike in your capacity, and here you have some kind of a security alert. I mean, you score, you're just 8 out of 10. Let's see what happens. So it will not go down than that, and will not be valuable.
And for the more low-touch companies, you think this person can be replaced using AI? You get the same result, or because something that we're always facing when we talk about customers is, or success in general, there is the job that need to be done, like prevent errors from happening. But we have another side of this relationship is building the relationship.
Yeah.
Because we have a person over there, he creates relationship, as we say, person to person, that I don't think that machine or software can replace that.
I think, it's not the same shirt fits them all, right? So if you're a company and you're stable and you're not so much growing and you're okay, and your systems that are like critical systems, maybe you'll do such a thing which is more proactive. But other system, you can take the risk. At the end of the day, it's mostly about risk, right? It's taking the risk. Maybe startups that are born to the cloud can act in a way, but other companies, enterprise that have legacies and banks. So I think it's like a customer to customer basis. I think always people wants to have a personal touch, but they have also a lot of vendors. The environment is really complex. They have a lot of vendors. So they will probably choose the high touch vendors, which is the most critical to their business. And I think today it's always tied to what your business is, less than the past, which IT was like the king of his domain. Now the IT is an enabler, and that's how business is looking at the IT. So IT needs to really measure its risks and have a high touch kind of relationship in those areas that are really critical to the business.
Cool. So it's all about the balance, and in the end is every company is different, and we need to understand that in the end.
That's always true.
I agree.
So we are almost getting to the end. This is just one slide that I took and just gathered several KPIs. I think customer call centers always have like a lot of measurements. I don't think we have like one company that is not measuring, depending. And this is what you talked about, data. So data can go to the like very high level, but it can also create just KPIs and dashboard about how much time the call happened.
Yeah, give you the direction where you go.
So this area, the cases were solved very, very fast. So you mean you have like a good skilling professionals there, maybe other areas takes more time. So either it's complex or you need to be, and this is about it. You need to measure yourself all the time, and data helps you, because without data.
What do you think is important to measure when it comes to customers?
So how much time since, like an engineer was already on the call? Because you can pick up very fast, but if it takes you like 2 days until, a real expert is is looking at your case, then you did nothing. So how much time it takes until an expert, how much time till end-to-end, everything, ended. How much time till you gave, I don't know, a solution, satisfaction of the customer.
And satisfaction you measure using feedback form
sometimes mostly feedback forms. I also gave here a sentiment analysis, yes, but we are sending also a feedback form. How much time, for example, the case was in internal different teams. So it went from here to there, to there, to there, and also gives a perspective of how fast you can resolve it, which is a big deal. I have so many examples. So,
but we always measuring everything in the company, right? Every department has its own KPIs, but in the end, we have one metric for each department, what we call the North Star metric, that is the one that everybody optimizes for. Do you have this one metric that you optimize for?
No, we have a lot, because there are many cases that are resolved by remotely, and other cases because we are also a hardware company, so we need to send a technician to the field, and sometimes we need a supply chain to have actually the part of the hardware. So we have a lot of measurements. Each unit has, I guess, something like North Star. Because of the different teams, we have several KPIs.
And how much the frequent you look on the metrics?
We do. It's a global company. We are very, very organized. Not only me as the manager of the delivery, but I have people from the Geo looking at us, and people from worldwide. And if I'm green, then I can go to the beach. If something is not green, then everyone is on me. So this is a big deal for us. But we are green mostly.
Important.
Yeah?
We work hard to be green.
I have a good team.
It's in the end.
It's all about my team.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we're almost on the last slide before the tips and kind of summary. I think that's the biggest deal right now these days, to kind of we have cloud, we have on-prem, we have SaaS, we have complex environments on the customer side. So how do we, and I call it customer-centric model, how do we put on one hand the customer in the middle, but on the other hand, there are so many people involved, the customer is getting lost sometimes. So I think the balance is who is touching the customer, who and why, and what's his role. And I think most of the time, as much as I saw it, there are three parts that are most important. I put product manager a little bit upper because he's less in touch with the customer, unless he wants a real examples and compelling events, but he's a little bit out. So maybe I will just say a few words on each one, and hopefully it will be clear. I think for me, I don't know, I'm coming from mostly delivery. So for me, customer success is now a big role today. And why is that? Because customer success, in my eyes, really looks from the customer eyes and customer business goals. So he needs to present the customer. Obviously, at the end of the day, he has KPIs from the company that he's working for. And if you are a cloud company, so mostly your KPIs will be about enlarging the cloud consumption and finding more and more business cases that the customer wants to use. But at the end of the day, a good customer success is the go-to person. And the customer needs to call him, and he needs to feel like he's a trusted advisor. So he's not a sales person. He can do sales kind of an activities and kind of connect the dots. But at the end of the day, he needs to be there and connect the dots to the customer in the customer eyes. So if there are open cases that the support is not managing fast enough and customer success is there to feel that is hurting the business, he needs to be the one that escalating. In case he sees I don't know, in areas which the customer wants to innovate. So he needs to be the one saying, look, if you want to innovate, I can bring you something that can talk to you about innovation in this field. Mm-hmm. So he needs to really be in touch to the customer and be in the balance of helping me and not pushing too much. That's what I feel.
I think that I heard a lot of things about customer success from the goal is like value creation. The goal is it's all about like creating relationship with the other company. What you suggested here make me think, I think it's very nice representative of this job calling customer success, is that is the person of the customer inside the company, right?
Yeah.
So it's very nice thinking about that, this mindset that if I am customer success, my goal is to be a representative of the customer inside the company. Definitely. And sometimes like, I don't know, 10 years ago, it was different. I will push somebody to be in the company and will represent the company inside the customer side.
Yes, but this is different perspective.
Yeah, exactly. This is different.
So he needs to be there and represent the customer, you know, to the vendor.
I think it's amazing,
so,
like thought.
I don't know, let's say the customer saying, you know, we need like innovation and I need like sponsorship to make to create a hackathon. So the customer success can say, maybe it will not give like an immediate revenue to the customer, but what a great idea. Let me take it back to my company and convince them that they need to.
Yeah, he worked for, he not worked for the company, he worked for the customer.
Exactly. So that's how I see the customer success, which is like a unique, and I think is, and we'll see it more and more. That's what I feel. And we need also people that, sometimes we kind of take people that doesn't have so much experience. And I think going forward, we will take more and more experienced people, because that's how we present, the best. Account manager he needs to have renewals, he needs to do upsells. This is his main job. He needs to create and make his quota, and needs to be very hungry, so he needs to go and seek. He's hunter also, so he's looking for new opportunities, and he will sometimes try to push to the customers things that
it's not necessarily he needs to have his revenue, is the KPI, right?
Quota. And sometimes also customer success will bring in, and sometimes he will say, guys, don't come here. I'm okay. It's okay. We don't need you there. So it's like a balance. And a good account management will listen to the customer success, because usually you can feel it, but also it will be pushy because it's hungry. It's supposed to be hungry. So this is kind of a account management, and he needs to do everything, everything just to make another sale. So, account sales executive or account managers that I at least met, if something is not bringing more revenue to him, usually he will just pass it to the customer success. Hackathon, fine, you do it. Doesn't bring revenue, okay?
So it's 0-1.
Yeah.
Bring revenue and not bring revenue.
Exactly.
And they look on their like quarterly goals. So if it will become revenue in the quarter, I will go for that.
I can be even, very strategic and look like 2 quarters, but that's pretty much it.
Yeah, agree.
And support manager, which is also like very important roles, and we don't have it in all occasions. Sometimes support manager will be reactive. So usually when you have a reactive case, support manager will come into the loop and will escalate and will make sure, it's resolved. And that's why support manager is not, usually touching base with the customer on a day-to-day basis. He will come into the place when something happens. Product manager, just to complete maybe the slide, product manager is looking at the product. So he is building he will build a roadmap. So usually there is a trade-off. So if the customer success looks at something and say, look, it must be entered, and I have such a case, I can go to the product manager and say, look, obviously there is more need from other customers. It can't be only this customer, but this customer also will be like a great revenue generation. Let's push it to the next quarter. And then maybe it was planned, but let's pull forward and make it earlier, so I can be in good terms with this customer because he's like a great logo to us. So this is kind of the balance that I see. Some of the people are looking more inside, some of the people are looking at from the customer perspective. But I guess the only way that you are as efficient as you get is when you have like a good communication within them. So when it works, customer success goes out of the customer and just calling the account manager and saying, look, I was in a great meeting. I wasn't even like invited, but I came, and there is like a big opportunity for you. Go inside. So that's where the places that it works.
Amazing. From my perspective, as a product manager, I think that we always look on the customers and why they do, like not from the relationship, but what actually they do inside the product, and we try to take decisions based on what the user want, and do a lot of interviews in order to understand like really what motivate them and what they really do inside the product. We use a lot of data in order to take the decision based on what they do, and try to predict what the right decision will be based on other things, like how much time it will take and stuff like you mentioned, the roadmap. But I think today, like never before, product managers is much more like customer facing oriented, look on things that I don't think that previous times have been done.
That's it. Just
so before we go to the tips, I saw that we have like 5 questions from people. So let's see. What are the 3 most important KPIs for customer certification in your eyes? Liran Moore asking that question.
Dear Liran Moore. Customer satisfaction?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think lead time is one that is very important, that we nail down the problem fast, mostly in critical cases. So how fast we got into the real bottom of the case, because the complexity environments and everything, I think it's you need to be an expert and to find it fast. So this is definitely one thing. I think another thing, and this is part of my tips, is how do you communicate the process? So sometimes you have no choice. There are several teams doing several things, and you need to push things from one team to another. But it's really important and keeps customers satisfied when you really communicate what is going to happen, like everything in life. So this is something we also measured and ask feedback. And another thing we're doing, and I think that's really important and creates also satisfaction and also kind of trust, is root cause analysis.
Amazing. Another question that Liran asked is regarding the customer-centric model. There is a big part for the boss, manager, BU, etc. Where and when you think the boss need to intervene?
I think part of the boss or whatever, I think a little bit what we discussed. So the balance between looking at the customer in short term, like 1 quarter, 2 quarters, and looking into the long term and strategically, this is something usually the team on the ground, it's very hard to do.
Right.
So this is where the manager needs to step up and say, look, once in a quarter, let's look a little bit broader. So what kind of use cases we can bring from other places? What kind of deals we can work, which will take more time? So we'll not see the revenue just in 1 quarter, but I'm still asking you to do it because it can bring a lot of revenue in like 4 quarters. I think that's where I would say.
I think also innovation and bringing new tools and stuff like that, right, will be from the manager. We'll say, let's try it. Maybe we can work more efficient.
Definitely.
We have another question from anonymous attendee. What is the connection between record and understand customer better? So record is basically provide companies the ability to provide their users, the end user, the ability to record their problem to the customer support team. We do it with a different way from all the screen recorder tools. We provide a new technology that basically enable them to record the product itself, and it's in a data format. So it's also provide all the data and event that happen when he try to explain what the problem is. So we also can very fast see the problem and understand it, and also investigate all the things that happen over the console or the event that he done in order to get this result that he think it's a problem. What in the end help the company to solve the problem faster, close ticket faster, and provide better solutions. And we're now look on how we can create better integration for the support OS, and also provide better way to understand and investigate the thing that the user sent, but also from the other end, better way to communicate the answer to the user. So it goes both ways. Right now, we're focusing on the user and his experience to provide the problem and talk with the customer support team. but when we finish that, we will be able to provide also the support team very good like ability to talk with the end user on the product itself, not going out. And I think that as I think all the effort needs to be very product centric. In the end, this is what he's selling for, this is what he see, this is what he work on. So it's as we mentioned, everything needs to be very fast. And I think when we go and see different paths, I need to go there, and then I need to go the community before. So let's give them the answer very fast and let them to tell us what make them like frustrated from what they've done on the product. So this is how we're connected to understand the customer better. And I think we will take another last question, and then we like talk about the tips. So we said about a sentiment analysis. So I think we pretty much answered most of the question. So let's go back to the tips, right?
Yeah, they're not fancy actually, but just I think, you know,
I always like tips and
not
hacks
rocket
and
science, but this is something I've learned. So we talked about it, be proactive, that goes without saying, tech oriented. I think people will detect if you're not, so this is like, you know, the basis. What I've learned is because sometimes you want to be very, you know, you really want, because customer is angry and sometimes he's yelling, and it's not the best spot of his time, you know, to be in contact with the customer. So I've learned that you need to help first, okay? Help first, even if it's not the right contract or he's not under contract. So if you want to keep the relationship, don't really negotiate when he's in a crisis. That's kind of thing. So we are really trying to help first, and we are very service oriented, and my team is the best team. And later on, we do, you know, we do negotiate. We do say, look, it's the last time because you are not in the right contract, so you need to upgrade it and so on. But we are helping in crisis mode.
But if it's happening again, like.
So sometimes, look, if you see that people are, you know, are really taking advantage of your, you know, willingness to help. So you need, that's part of your manager, right? The manager
needs to go up and then.
At the end of the day, it's the business and it's okay. But you know, as a kind of a ground rule, don't negotiate as part of crisis. Communication cross organization and all stakeholders. Sometimes we're doing an excellent job, but you know, we didn't communicate it well enough, and then you know, we didn't get to the all levels of organization. So I've learned just mails, communication, and WhatsApp, Teams, Slack, whatever is working. Make sure that everyone knows something happened in. There is a case, there is a critical case, we are working on it, we will update everyone when we have progress or we find something or whatever. It creates some kind of sense of, you know, trust and also peaceness that you are kind of, you know, working on that, and not every 2 minutes someone is calling you and escalating and asking questions.
So you need to communicate it outside
and
like
inside
to the customer and all the stakeholders from the business like that we are selling to side. And inside the company.
Exactly. So in really critical cases, CEO needs to be updated because, you know, it's one of the top customers, he's down, so on. It's the same and expectations of all process. And I said already, perform root cause analysis. I think we need always to improve ourselves and also to create clarity to the customer and make him improve himself in cases that he can. That's it.
Amazing. I think I can keep going with this conversation for a lot of time. But I think that we thought it will take like 30 minutes and we all almost like for 1 hour. I want to thank you. It was a pleasure to meet you and hear your experience. I hope that you guys on the webinar took some advices and tips and learned something from that. As I mentioned before, I think that there is not enough content like that outside, and it's important to talk about this customer success support, account manager relationship, and all these tips and how to be customer facing and customer oriented and really look on your customer as an asset. So thank you very much for being with us.
Pleasure.
We will upload that to all the social media and YouTube and stuff like that, right, Gal? I want to thank you, Gal. Look on Gal here, hey, with the Taltalim in Hebrew. Yeah, being with us and make everything happen. Yeah, you want to say something for the end?
Thank you for the time and listening.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye.